A large portion of the Jewish nation has returned to its homeland, but the heart, soul, and mind of much of the Jewish nation are still in exile mode. This state of affairs must and will inevitably change. This is Torah Nation TV from Jerusalem, and we are speaking with the head of Machon Shiloh, Rabbi David Bar Chaim. Shalom, Rabbi Bar Chaim.
Shalom.
Some people suggest that certain halachic concepts are not dependent upon the actual physical realities, but exist independently as halachic constructs. For example, some people claim that the kazayit, the volume of an olive, is indeed the volume of an actual olive, as it is before us today. And nevertheless, they claim that the opinions developed over generations that construed an olive to be much larger have become binding halachic constructs which we cannot disregard. What does the rabbi say regarding this claim?
If there were any truth to this type of thinking, then it would be impossible to understand some of the most basic facts and realities regarding the halachic discussion of the kazayit, for example. How is it possible that Rav Chaim Volozhin, the greatest Talmid of the Gra, the Gaon of Vilna, how is it possible that he claimed that the shi'ur, the halachic volume called a kazayit, is in fact equal to an actual olive, and he meant the actual olives that we see today? What was he talking about? What did he mean by this? If we're talking about an halachic construct which is not related to reality, which has nothing to do with real world olives, then what on earth was he saying? How could we even begin to know what he meant if it has nothing to do with the real olive before us? Similarly, if we go back 1,000, 1,100, 1,200 years, we find three separate teshuvot from three Gaonim, Rav Sharira Gaon, Rav Hai Gaon, and another anonymous Gaon, all of whom write in their halachic responsa that the shiurim of a kazayit and a kebesa, the volume of an olive or the volume of an egg, etc., these halachic shiurim, the volumes and sizes, are first of all related to the actual fruit or the actual item in question. They mention that these items are available always in different countries. It's true they didn't perhaps take into account the fact that there were parts of the world where, for example, the olive was unknown, but in their experience, at least in their time, these were items that could be found and could be seen and observed in all countries where Jews lived. They also go on to point out that these fruits and these items do not change in size and in character, and that no one should assume that they do so change. And they further add that it all depends upon the observer. In other words, what the observer, the average Jew, who is confronted with the question, how much matzah, for example, do I need to eat on Pesach? Or how much bread is a kazayit of bread for the purpose of Birkat HaMazon? This all depends, they write, according to the view and understanding and assessment of the observer. In other words, if this amount seems to be the size, the volume of an average olive in the eyes of the observer, then that is the standard, that is the halachic requirement that he has to follow. He does not have to ask other people's opinions as to what they believe it is, this size or this volume is to be, and he is perfectly able to rely on his knowledge of the actual olives that he sees, that he is familiar with, to make that assessment. Again, if we're talking about halachic constructs, if we're talking about some kind of virtual reality which is not related to the real world, then none of these responsa of these Gaonim make any sense at all. Furthermore, we could point out that the Chazon Ish and his students and followers, when trying to give credence and bolster their claim regarding the size of a kazayit of an olive or a kibetza of an egg, which are much larger, their measurements are much larger than that which we see before us, And when asked this question, how do you reconcile this with the reality we see before us, their answer was that we believe that in ancient times the sizes of olives and eggs, etc., were much larger than they are today. Again, if we're talking about halachic constructs, about virtual halachic realities which are divorced from the real world reality, then this claim is nonsensical. It has no meaning, because the Chazon Ish was trying to explain, or his students were trying to explain, that yes, we understand that the kazait is related to an olive, and if you ask us what about the olives today, none of them are the size that you claim they should be. The answer is that there must have been larger olives once upon a time. But everyone understood, those who believed in very large measurements and those who believed in much smaller measurements, everyone understood and accepted that the volumes in question, that of the kezai, the kibetza, and other measurements, were all related to physical, real-world realities. In other words, this claim that there are halachic constructs, that is to say, hypothetical, legal Jewish notions and concepts which are divorced from any reality, any objective real-world reality. This claim was never made in all of history, in all of the discussions that we have seen over many generations regarding these questions. Not one serious halachic authority has made any such claim. In fact, all the claims and all the discussions prove quite the opposite, as I've just pointed out. These notions, these ideas that halachic constructs exist in their own reality, in their own realm, and are unrelated to the real world, these notions are very new, fangled ideas which certain individuals have come to adopt in order to be able to maintain their irrational position regarding certain halachic measurements and concepts, in order to maintain their opposition to changing or reassessing any of these questions in light of reality, common sense, and, one might add, all the relevant halachic sources. And therefore, any such suggestion must be rejected out of hand. In fact, I would go further. I would say that this type of mindset, which conceives of Judaism, of the Torah, as being some kind of hypothetical construct, a reality, a system of life, and a study, a realm of study and research which is divorced from the real world and really is a kind of virtual reality unto itself. This is the result of Galut mode Judaism having gone out of control. This is the result of a Judaism which is so far removed from the real world, from real-world Torah concepts, from the concepts and ideas and realities that the Torah addresses, that the Torah lays before us and instructs us to work with, and defines our destiny in terms of those realities. A system of Torah which is so far removed from all such real-world considerations can somehow create for itself this kind of virtual reality. But this is entirely false and entirely irrelevant to a proper and correct, healthy and wholesome understanding of Torah as it was given to us by Hashem.
Thank you, Rabbi Bar Chaim. We would like to encourage our viewers to share these videos with friends and send in your responses. We would also like to suggest the following opportunity to our viewers. If you identify with Rabbi Bar Chaim's message and would like to sponsor or dedicate a video interview with the rabbi in honor or memory of a loved one, if you would like to obtain Birkon Nusach Eretz Yisrael or invite the rabbi for a speaking engagement, please email us at office@machonshilo.org.